gaps we have identified?
Yes, so like you rightly said, Aula Ghana, the course of the discussions, who have self-knowledge, it was the first of its kind in Africa. So it was a huge deal. It was a big revolutionary thing that had just taken place. And coming from a system where there was no uniform provision at all to one where now there's a law which had been passed in an era of line, there's a need for some changes to be made. In terms of the levels of awareness about the law, the essence of a law, if you do not benefit, exactly, if you don't even know about it, how much more to think of it benefiting you. So there appears here about the challenges of enforcement. You need to actually take active steps to have the law benefit you. So that means that you essentially have to go to court. There are many women who may not have the means, like we have already identified, to get a lawyer, you know, exactly. So with the exception of you being able to benefit from, you know, the legal aid scheme or coming to Aula or some other, you know, organization that can provide free legal services, that means that you're going to have some difficulties with the law. Now, or with you benefiting from the law. Now, other challenges that we have also identified have to do with the text of the Act itself and how it fails to take into consideration current modern times. So we have already mentioned the inability of the law to cater for, you know, the various family dynamics that we find. We have also made reference to the inability of the law to cater for different types of marriages, so, you know, for different types of, or let's say different types of relationships. Of course, marriages are well catered for, but the difficulties, exactly. Now, mention of proportions or fractions when it comes to parts of the distribution of the estate can be very problematic. So if, for example, provision is made for someone benefiting from 3/4 or 1/16 of, I mean, let's be real, how are those going to translate? So in many of such cases, it looks as if the intention is that sell the property in question and then we can distribute, because if it's money, so that may not always suffice. So it's important that we take a look at this, you know, this fractional application of the law that, you know, is in some parts of the law. Marian, I'm sure you want to add.
Yes, and another thing too is that the law doesn't cover other property, like shares, like intellectual property, like things like that. It only envisages landed property and money. And so that is one problem. Another problem with application is that the procedure to apply PNDT Law 101 is a little bit challenging, especially for people who are in the more deprived areas. You have to think about, you have to be able to identify your spouse, the inventory. What did he actually have before he died? How many things? I need to be able to invent. You can go and then you can say that, oh, I know my spouse is this. Anywhere that upon the death of their partner, they go to seek for information, they ask them to bring early. The bank will not disclose to you how much your partner has, but the bank is asking you, bring me letters of administration. The court is saying, before I can give you letters of administration, tell me how much is in the account. So then it becomes problematic. Like, they are able to give you that space to say, okay, or some will say, it's stressful. You can imagine. It's stressful, it's financially consuming because all of these things you pay the lawyer to go back and forth to file application. Even if you're not charged legal fees, you have to pay for administrative expenses and all of those things. So that is one of the problems that we are seeing over here, and even with regards to children. Now, children have gone far and wide. At first, this law just envisaged biological children, adopted children. Now we have children by surrogacy and all of those things. So these things are not there. Those are some of the problems that we think that this law has. Also, with regards to the percentages for polygamous or potentially polygamous marriages, the law doesn't make adequate provision for that. So we've had an amazing or several amazing amendments, proposed amendments that capture some of these things. So yes, regardless of whether I'm in an ordinance marriage or customary law marriage, I should be able to have equal property rights. So my rights as somebody in a potentially polygamous marriage should not be different as hers.
Okay.
This is the purpose for this law in the first place, because at first we would have that family members who come and say, yours is customary law marriage, so your entitlements are not as much as the one that ordinance marriage. This law says no. So if it is the no, then make sure that whether the person has 1 wife or 3 wives, the wives are not at a disadvantage because they stayed in the marriage till their spouse passed. Because if you were to have a divorce, we'll be speaking differently.
And they all contributed equally, I presume.
Regardless. So, you know, with the issue of contribution, when it comes in, then you talk about showing to the court
what you have done.
Yes, what you have done or what you haven't done. Fortunately, even though this law hasn't been amended, but fortunately, and as a result of many developments with regards to spousal property rights, now when you are bringing an application for LA, there's a presumption of contribution.
Okay.
So if there's the matrimonial home, there's always the presumption that the surviving spouse has 50%.
Okay.
Fortunately, the law doesn't make provision for that, but because our laws have evolved by virtue of judicial pronouncements, judges and us practitioners have recognized the presumption of substantial contribution or jointly acquired properties. So when you are bringing the application and the inventory has a matrimonial home or any other said landed property, there's always the presumption that it was equally acquired during the pendency of the marriage.
I can understand why people are not aware of the law. It seems so cumbersome. And for someone who is in a rural area, might not even know what their husband has, the properties, I'm not sure they would want to pursue and would just allow the family have their way. What are the reforms we are seeking? What do we want changed in the law?
Right. So I think that cumbersome, so complex.
And you know the funny thing?
Yes.
Until you have lost someone and you are going through it, you will not know how important
you wouldn't understand what is being discussed at this point until you have actually that's actually right. So the point that or the call to action that we are making is that, first of all, the proposed solutions that we have just identified on this program, for example, should be implemented by Parliament. Proposals for an amendment of the law have been in Parliament for so long, but unfortunately we haven't seen a passage or, or amendments to the law in the past 40 years. So first of all, there's the need for critical amendments or changes to be. It's also important to look at the enforcement or application of it. Is there a way that the process can be simplified a bit more for the average Ghanaian woman who is, living somewhere in some rural community? Can we make such applications to the court much more simple? For those who may not have the right to counsel, right, can there be some structures that allows them to, take out of fact? Unfortunately, we cannot leave everything to Parliament or to the ministry, the relevant ministries like the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection. You and I, the various CSOs, especially those that are involved in the protection of women's rights, it looks as if a key thing that we all seem to agree on is the low levels of awareness. How do we continue the advocacy in a manner that ensures that regardless of where you are as a woman, you have, first of all, heard about this law, you understand its application, and when it's time for you to seek some, good, you can take steps to, benefit from the law and then stand on your feet, like you are saying. So the advocacy part, many a times we take these things for granted. We think, because we are in Accra or, we are literate, so we know. But that is a big mistake. There are many, many others who have no idea about this law and how it even works, okay? So the advocacy aspect is also very, very critical. We need to speak up more and ensure that every person, regardless of where they find themselves, especially women, are aware about the provisions of this law and how they can actually seek protection to benefit under the law. And of course, the call always go to the relevant ministries to support Parliament to pass the amendments or make the necessary changes to the law that we are requesting.
I dare say that if this law was not passed during the military regime, it would never have been passed. Our founder, Madam Betty Mould Idrisu, was the first person to lay the amendments before Parliament over 15 years ago. And still, here we are. Still, it hasn't been passed.
Do we know why it's delayed?
So for varied reasons, you know, anytime Parliament rises, you have to start all over.
Again.
They'll come back, they have a problem with this, change this, do that, it goes, and then you have to do stakeholder consultation.
And start the whole process.
I think it's just not a priority for Parliament. I honestly think Parliament just has other priorities.
To get more women in there.
It is seen as a woman's issue because before the PNDC Law 101, men were fine. They had no problems, but we were the ones that said, hey, we need our own property. We need to stand up for our rights. We are entitled and all of those things. We need a law. And so it was passed. And so it is a women's issue at the end of the day. And when it comes to women and children's issue, it's not a priority. So that is also the reason why. But yes, there's the need for these amendments. We need to make sure that it encompasses even the whole procedure for the application should be easier for people to understand, to be able to apply. And probably the law should also make some of it a little more relaxed, like with regards to the financial institutions and things like that. It should be, you know how it's automatic for the matrimonial home? Certain things should be automatic. That is my personal view and then opinion. Certain things should be automatic, like the financial part. Their personal bank account should be automatic. So if you could just prove to the bank that I'm a spouse or I'm a child, it shouldn't. Some things should be a bit more relaxed.
Okay. And then about the
property should be included, and then other forms of property. Right now, there's digital property. So all these things should be captured and should be included. Other family structures should be included. It shouldn't be limited to married couples. It's as if this law is for married couples. And so if you are not married, what happens to you? And I don't think that is fair, because assuming that somebody died and the person was not a married person and didn't even have, let's say a man died, they didn't even have a woman, whether a girlfriend or anything, and they had property. So whether the family is a marital one or it was a marriage or whatever kind of marriage it was. So we should be able to have these structures. And I think that now this will be debatable, but the concept of customary law, which even up till now that there are other African countries that have a law similar like PNDC Law 111. What the advantage we have over them is that we have still maintained a customary law dissolution when it comes to property. We haven't done away with it. But with the other countries, they've totally done away with it. We should take a look at it again. I would say we need to take a look at it again.
So take a look at it. Do we take it out or add something and make it better?
I think we should clarify some of the ambiguities. Because when you say something like this percentage will be shared according to the person's customary law, then you're going into what is the customary law, where there's conflicts of the customary law, what happens, for instance, and then the involvement of external family members. Sometimes really and truly, somebody may be from a certain custom, but had no relationship with, you understand? So I think we should look at it again.
Gertrude, would you want to share with us how difficult it is as a lawyer working on such cases?
Well, yes, and that's where for practitioners, we also have a huge role to play. But I dare say that we need to also, to a large extent, commend the judiciary protected. To a very, 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 very large extent, the Ghanaian judiciary has been very resolute in ensuring that the law is applied. Ordinarily would have done to ensure that especially women who are being deprived of their inheritance rights still get to benefit under PNDC Law 111. I think in terms of the challenges when it comes to the actual practice of intestacy law and ensuring that women especially are protected, we have made reference to quite a number of them. First of all, for many spouses, and again, unfortunately for the women, you know, we live in a country where a good number of men would not want to let their spouses know that they have a property here, or they have acquired this, or they have acquired that. You'll be surprised to know they'd rather even prefer making this known to other family members as opposed to friends and what have you, as opposed to their own spouses.
Yes.
So you can have a situation where, like Marian said, at the point of seeking the court's protection, you don't even know. The woman is unable to tell what the husband had. Right, the struggle that you go through to know that. So, madam, what are the things that you can tell us that your husband actually had before? Lawyer, you know, I just know of, we have some land somewhere. He mentioned.
But I don't know.
Sometimes you don't even know the location.
You don't even know the location.
God,
but I mean, we can't really blame them. So you see, I think the roots go to the understanding of marriage that we have as a people. That is actually. You know, that's actually the starting point, or the basic basis. We need to know that, look, marriage in itself is a very sacred institution, which comes with a bundle of rights and responsibilities. And letting your spouse know what you don't have, it's actually for your own benefit. Because if that doesn't happen, in cases when you pass on, third party is how he's not going to say, then that person may end up taking that for themselves. Again, the strict application of the law, unfortunately, to actually bring all the information that is required. For example, if it has to do with knowing the amounts in a bank account, there's no way that for many women they can know. And if you go to the bank again is going to throw you back that you don't have, proof of or letters of administration. So go and get that first. But how do you also get the early when you don't know the amount that is inside, or even sometimes you don't even know the bank that this person has been saving in. So you don't even know where they have some monies at all in the first place. Okay, so this challenge of knowing, because you cannot seek what you yourself you don't even know. So it's important that we perhaps, for those who may not have considered that, let's have a rethink exactly about how we think marriages should work. That's a good starting point. Again, like we said, for many women, they just do not have the resources to go to court, and that is why organizations like Aula and our colleagues also come in and providing free legal services, legal aid scheme, free legal services for women or even for spouses generally who may need to benefit under this law. So in terms of the practical challenges that we face as practitioners, quite a number of them. So it's important that, and again, I think this can only be achieved through a holistic amendment of the law, that the various stakeholder institutions, there's some harmony in terms of how we approach the subject of someone benefiting under the law, be it the banks, the judiciary itself, other institutions that may have knowledge about the properties that one person had before they passed on. So really, these are some of the challenges that we experience.
If you just joined us, we are talking law today, and we are looking at when a man dies, what happens to a woman? Are you driven out of your home, or you get to stay? We hit the streets to find out from people what they know about the interstate succession law. When we come back, the phone lines are going to be activated, and then you can join us with your questions. So we take a conversation with people on the street, and then we come back.
My name is Linda Agosu.
Do you know about the interstate succession law?
Yes.
What do you know about it? Can you tell us?
It's about when a husband dies or the wife dies without leaving a will. So the law comes in and shares it equally among the children and then the wife.
My name is Mary Nogbeji. It's about when a spouse dies, the property is shared among the widow or the widower. That is what I know about it.
Do you think it's a good law?
Yes, it is. Because there are issues of sharing of properties when a spouse dies. So with this law, it will curtail everything.
Of a deceased person, so that especially in the case of women, it's supposed to cater for them, their share.
To any widow or widower about the interstate law succession where the person lives without leaving a will behind?
Well, as for the experience, they are enormous, because not personally, but you hear a lot of stories in that regard that people have, come to terms with these things, and it's a reality. It's happening out there.
Is it a good law, please?
It's a good law. It's a good law. So long as it brings equity into, I mean, the livelihoods of people who are bereaved. In this case, they are supposed to not be left, you know, unattended or deprived of certain benefits that they must, by their legal right, earn. So for me, it's good. It's a good law.
And do you think the law has treated women fairly in Ghana? Of
course, it has. It has, and I want to trace this to our just deceased Nana Kunedu Ajman Rawlings, because through her instrumentation, this law has come to stay, and it's fair and it's working well for women who, in particularly, suffer from this situation.
Right. Please, do you think public education to be more on these issues?
Sure. Public education is essential in order to, you know, educate and enlighten more women about this law, so that anybody who is, I mean, being abused, then they can really call for the law for their justice.
They're from me, Deborah. Oh, minim law ya mag ana onye we and two on mu ya. Ube to me so onye we ni to na say won be fa ne perfume a. Say japade no wo hono ma. Na say kwala wo hono ma. O say omu busafo no hwe na omu nche japade no entu wono mu. Say will won wo say will ni papa na mama aye japade bi atu wono mu. Asara busafo na eden aba. Enti no me meka saka busafo no both side, mother side, father side. Be mani busua be kan bom no ma hu so mo ba no aja japade bi aye nkwala esumbu etu ho no mo a japade dodo na but to the sense say japade no wo ho no mo a busafo no be japade no free awufo ni nsema na nkwama ye basa atu nkwama de ensem fata because on papa no mama aye japade ato ana ya ja from muslim see abai for the 9 form na on fatima one a omu deserve sanyama no a ye wo say nje ma wom na say na be ya awufo no so ya akra na mama afri mo na papa afri mo no ni ento ni nsem ento tu ento ni nsem on be ka so be ji nkwala no fa so but omu wi a omu ji nkwala no mu wi a na omu ji japade no wi a na ma pam nkwala no na me nkwala ma ye mbobom brain self fata into aban no misre no ofa the 9 form no fatima wana omu hia sa support no dem pesa men kan no.
Welcome back. So we hit the streets to speak to a few people, and I'm sure you're not surprised that a few people know about the law, but don't the nitty-gritty of what we are discussing here today.
Yeah.
They know that it exists, but as to whether the distribution and all the issues we are talking about.
But I think it's generally not bad. I wish the last one was on the show with us.
Should have made the work so easy.
No, but I'm actually impressed with the views on the streets.
Yes.
But before the last woman came in, I was just telling myself that I wish you had actually hit the markets,
area,
more.
yes.
And then just when I was thinking that, I
got
saw
that,
a
yes,
wonderful woman.
yes.
So yeah, not bad generally.
Yes. You can join the conversation now. The numbers will be on your screen. You could also go to Facebook, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, send in your comments, call us, tell us what you have experienced and how the law has been helpful to you. So let's look at this. The option is to have a will.
Yes. I mean, best case scenario, but unfortunately...
What time is good? What time is good to have a will?
I mean, I have a contrary view.
Really?
Because she will tell you that even the wills, unfortunately, are not foolproof.
Okay.
Unfortunately, because you have cases where people pass on, they have wills, only for
it to be contested.
To be contested in court. Long protracted litigation for decades. And then you ask yourself that really, is it worth living? So honestly, for me, I have a contract. I think that if the interstate succession law, for example, is very fit for purpose,
really
the reforms, exactly, the reforms that we are advocating have, been made. The option should be there. You should, of course, the best case scenario, well, that's debatable, remains having a will. But even, it's not practical. Not everyone would have the opportunity to make a will. So you should be able to know that even if you leave a will or, you don't, the law still makes adequate provision.
So the interstate succession law is like a cushion.
A good cushion, you see. So
yes, but like you said, best case scenario, have a will. That is the only way you can determine how your estates will be dissolved. That is the only way. Yes, is this foolproof? No. There are challenges. There are so many challenges. If you don't do it right, if the will itself It's not that could go wrong, especially when you don't get a lawyer to do it for you. There are some things you cannot envisage. For instance, you know that beneficiaries cannot be witnesses and things. You can't know that. But best case scenario, assuming all things were equal and all things were done properly, a will is preferred, in my opinion.
Your opinion.
So have a will, get a lawyer to advise you on it and do it properly.
Okay.
It's the only way to be assured that you want to give A to person B, it will be given to person B. If you rely on interstate succession law to do that, other people that you don't even like may have a share to benefit in your estate just because the law makes provision for them.
And those people, same people can also go and contest the law, the will.
No, so if your will is done right,
okay,
they cannot.
Okay.
Because one of the things that is respected or is fundamental are the wishes of the deceased.
Yeah.
So if the will is done right and the people that the law provides for are catered for in your will, nobody can contest to say, hey, I'm his brother, I should have, no. Or I'm his long-standing girlfriend, I should have, no.
Oh, I took care of him.
Yes, or I took care of him. And when we're talking about the challenges, speaking of and we still have issues with regards to who a spouse is, who a child is. It shocks me that we have some of these things come like that the Lumba matter going on.
Right.
You know, but I guess all this happens because he didn't make a will.
Yes, yes, yes.
Some of this, because we have people, and those were their wishes. So why is it that now we have people who would die and then...
I think we have a caller. Let's take the caller. Welcome to Women's Voice. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Welcome to Women's Voice.
Hello.
Yes.
About a victim. My daddy died. Is it okay?
Yes, it's better. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay. My daddy died. We became sorry. Things weren't going well for our mommy, so
Hello. Okay, so I think he's sharing an experience. His dad died and family members came for every property that they had and things was difficult for the family.
You see, this reminds me of final points. I mean, the point that the last lady who was interviewed.
Yes.
Until, and even an earlier point that Marian here made, that it looks as if women and children's issues are just not priority, you know, especially for our lawmakers. But that is very unfortunate. Because until and unless we come to the recognition that women and children's issues are national issues, and I really like the point that, you know, the last speaker was making, that look, when some of these things happen, the men die and then the family members from nowhere come to take over the properties. What you are essentially doing is not only depriving the surviving spouse, in this case the woman, but also the children.
Yes.
Look at how, for example, this young man who just called is saying that the family came for, you know, whatever properties there were, and then things were not going well for them. Imagine the woman doesn't have the means to keep the children in school. What does that mean? These are children continuously advocating for, you know, better economic circumstances, better social circumstances, without realizing that until matters concerning women and children become a priority and are resolved in a manner that ensures that, you know, their interests are protected, we are not going anywhere. And really, I think,
Gertrude, we have a caller. Welcome back. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from. I guess it's the same caller. Hello?
Yeah. My name is Anena Anthony.
Okay, Anthony, let's hear you.
I'm calling from Tamale.
Okay. Please, let's hear you.
It's a lovely program, educating the public, even though I haven't had any experience, but I just want to urge you people to do it the more listening to you people. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much. Let's all make the noise and get Parliament to amend, and let's see some reviews on this on this law. Thank you, Anthony, for reaching us all the way in Tamale. So, Gertrude.
Oh, no. So I was just making the point that until we make, you know, as priority women and children issues, I don't think that the development that we seek as a people, we are going to
where do we go from here to ensure that Parliament gets?
Well,
you say get to this,
this one.
Get to this. She wants you to be on there.
I think first of all, we've started the media engagements. We are counting on the media to raise the awareness, to put
another
pressure.
caller. Okay. Hello, welcome to Women's Voice. Please tell us your name.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Judicial from Swami Kumasi.
Okay, Jewusu, please go ahead.
My concern is this issue has become more problematic, mostly on women.
Yeah.
Why am I saying so? I of the view that Doctor NCTV, as well as other units, to go out to educate, especially the children, that they should also know their right. In addition to that, I'm of the view that the government should at least get an office within the municipal assembly, the VC as well, so that in case of any eventuality, the victims can walk in to find out what is actually on the ground, and if there's any help, the ministry can do so to curtail most of this issue that is over and around.
Okay.
Thank you for your good work.
Thank you so much, Ejewusu, for calling. So can you imagine if private or organizations like yours are not intervening in such issues? It would be that bad, because a lot of women would not have access to legal aid to pursue some of these things. And then our children, like Gertrude was saying, are going to end up losing a lot of things. So what is the way forward? Mariam, how do we get Parliament to take this serious?
We have to lobby, we have to push from all angles. It's not just on the part of CSOs, but every single one of us. Imagine the media in Parliament every single day asking them, why are you not passing this bill? Imagine the kind of pressure they are going to have. And then, yes, CSOs, every single individual. Then let's look at the amendments. What are the problems? Let's revise them. Let's review if there's a need to bring it back, and then let's table it again. Okay. So that when we table it, at least we know that, okay, it's gone, first step has been taken. And then let's lobby so that when it actually comes before Parliament, we can get them to vote to pass it.
And then we can get an amended law that ensures that both sides, whether the woman or man, whether you are a third wife or a fourth wife or a side chick or a caregiver, you get what you are entitled to. We have a caller. Let's take that one and then we'll come back. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, my name is Reverend Peter Kelly. I'm calling from Kedma Community Team 3.
Okay. Please, let's hear you.
Yes, the discussion is very significant for me as an African. I come from Liberia and in Accra presently, but it makes no difference where I find ourselves, where we find ourselves. I started in Liberia for the last 50 years and saw my mothers, my sisters disadvantaged in this same situation. So, I mean, whether you are in Ghana and other things, I think we need to fight for discussing. My attention was drawn to one fact: awareness raising.
Okay.
I think most our sisters and our aunties were disadvantaged, and we know that we have to be fighting alongside with voices and trying to put on legislative amendments. And the other things I have to say is that we have to fight because Ghana has a strong tradition. So where you have a strong tradition where women are disadvantaged, I just want to congratulate all of you. I think this awareness should continue. And those of us who are product of women that have gotten this advantage, we should now rise up to fight.
Thank you so much for calling. Thank you. And I mean, for giving us the Liberian perspective to this discussion we are having. It runs across almost all the countries where women have to justify themselves to ensure that they get something from someone they've labored with. And so from what he said, Gertrude, what would be your advice to women?
Yes.
Do you open your eyes in the marriage? Ask questions.
Oh, I mean, yeah, definitely. But if you ask me, I think even more importantly, we all need to be empowered. The past decades have been dedicated to women empowerment in several forms, including encouraging women to be, financially independent and to be able to empower themselves in many ways. So if you ask me, I think that is one of the basic things that all women should strive to do. But of course, someone would easily cut in and say, but marriage is also more awareness and changes to the current state of the law as it is. But at the end of the day, you need to be able to empower yourself. Make sure that as a woman, to ensure that at the end of the day, even if you should find yourself in a situation like that, and empowerment is not only financial. Get to know what the law says about things. Get close to people, ask people. I was happy about the suggestion of and ask for information. Now, what can I do? My husband or my spouse has just passed on and my family members have done this or that. How do I get some assistance? And you should easily be assisted, really, in terms of information, in terms of capacity building, so that when we find ourselves in cases like that, we can fight for ourselves. And then just a final point. I think our callers are unanimous on the view that the awareness creation and the advocacy is important. And it is in this light that AWLA, the African Women Lawyers Association Ghana, is taking Law 111 as part of the programs that we have lined up. Is the media engagements that we are having this afternoon, for example. So we thank GTV for the opportunity. But this would ultimately lead to or culminate in a public lecture that AWLA Ghana is having with the UPSC Law School on the 16th of December at 3 p.m. So would like to invite...
That's next week Tuesday.
Next week Tuesday. Would like to invite all, the general public, everybody. The venue is the west wing of the UPSC auditorium. We want to invite everyone. Just come and listen. And this lecture is going to be delivered by our founder, the Honorable Betty Mould Idrisu, on the theme, the Interstate Succession Act 1985 at 40, Relevance, Challenges, and Emerging Issues. And will be followed by a panel discussion.
All right. Thank you so much. Miriam, last words. I have just a second for you because we have to wrap up.
My last words is knowledge is power. Because for you to be able to enforce this law, apply it to your benefit, you need to know power.
Okay, thank you so much. Gertrude Amoko Amma, a lawyer with AWLA, and then Mariam Darlington. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for watching. For those who watch online, thank you for watching. If you called us this afternoon, thank you also for calling and sharing your view with us. As we mark 40 years of the passage of the Interstate Succession Law, make sure you get to know what's important, what is in the law, and how it can benefit you. It is clear that the PNDC Law 111 has brought stability, fairness, and protection to countless families. Yet, as society evolves, so must the law that guides it. So the Association of Women Lawyers call for amendment. It's not just a legal reform. It's about safeguarding dignity, ensuring equality, and strengthening the rights of spouses and children for generations to come. If you haven't already considered planning your estate and writing a will, taking that step today can protect your family tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us on Women's Voice. I am Gloria.